Right, this evening it also marks a really important milestone in SVG Europe Women, as we're about to present the very first SVG Europe Women Achievement Award. So this award recognises outstanding achievement in sports broadcasting. With me on stage to present it is Heather McLean, who is the internal head of SVG Europe, and Lise Kazemi, who is the new chair of the SVG Europe Women's Advisory Board. The recipient of this award is a woman who has achieved a remarkable career in sports broadcasting. A former gymnast, she represented Great Britain at the 1976 Olympic Games in Montreal. After moving into sports broadcasting, she became the BBC's first female director of sport, a role she continues to hold today. Last summer, she headed the spectacular, trailblazing BBC Change the Game campaign, which shone a major spotlight on women's sport. Today, she oversees the production of around 20,000 hours of global sports coverage across radio, television, and online each year, and that figure is growing. Please, therefore, welcome your winner for 2020, Barbara Slater, OBE. I'll let you go. Thank you. We're going to have a photo. Right. Wow, that's fantastic. Thank you. Let's have a quick little photo before we say a few words. Put them in the paper now. Yes. Hang on. Lovely. Thank you. Okay. All right. Thank you. Well, what an honour. And especially as it's the first time that you have made this award, and of course it's fantastic. Of course, it also probably says that I'm really quite old now, and I was just sort of thinking as I was hearing frankly the fantastic speakers that we've had and brilliantly presented, just the sort of change in ambition in the room, the kind of determination to raise expectations and make this a different industry. And I just think that is fantastic. And it makes me really positive about the future that I'm sure you will all have. I mean, I'm not sure I even want to admit this really. I mean, I first sort of, if you like, was introduced to this industry back in 1980. I suspect most of you weren't even born in 1980. And you just think about that and you think, there's no Channel 4, no Channel 5, no Sky. BT was probably just landlines. Can you believe it? There were no mobile phones. I mean, that is extraordinary, isn't it? The transformation. And of course, that's been not just in technology and engineering, but the industry. I mean, I think I was the only woman when I joined, certainly in an editorial role. And it's been amazing to see and compare then with now, and how much things have changed. And there's still so far to go. I mean, if anybody thinks this is cracked and we have equality, we don't. But we should also celebrate progress. And there has been amazing progress. There is nothing that will stop anyone in this room if you have the talent. I mean, I remember when I joined, if you'd said to me then that I would ever be a director of sport, I just would have laughed at you. I would have said that's entirely impossible. And I remember one of the roles I sort of took on the way was to actually be the executive producer of golf. I mean, am I like a golf executive producer? No. Where's the diamond jumper? Where's the sort of the swagger or what have you? But I loved it. And it was so lovely to hear about what sparked people's interest in the business. I was lucky, I was an athlete, so I got to see behind the scenes. And I remember being asked to join ITV's production of, it was the World Gymnastics Championships, and they needed an expert in gymnastics. So I was invited behind the scenes. And I watched the OB director. And I remember thinking, that is the best job in the world. You mean you get to sit in a chair and all of those monitors and you tell the story? So it's really interesting hearing some of the discussion around engineering and technology, because I went the other way. So I was doing commentary, but I saw that job and I thought, that is amazing, and I really, really want to do that. Of course, it took time. I had to do a fair share of hours in VT. I think my first OB was 3 cameras of doing table tennis in Kettering. But I worked my way up. I started with 3 cameras, and I ended with 60 at the Open Golf. And I would still say that actually that OB and the camaraderie when you're involved in a sports production is unbeatable. And obviously I've moved into management now, but I would still say that is the best job in the world. And I think that's wherever you are in that food chain. I mean, I just remember, a boat race where no helicopter flew. All the cameras, by the way, were radio linked. So we literally had the engineers with the door open, and when they plugged a camera in, we then cut to it. And then they would take the wires and they'd plug the next camera in. That's how we cover the boat race. And that's an amazing spirit that I think that we get. Aren't we lucky, if you like, to work in sport? I must just say something, I think, though, around our determination, though, to see women succeed. And I do believe that we are seeing, again, a transformation. And we're very proud, certainly at the BBC, if you look at the stable of on-screen talent, of the fantastic women presenters that we have, and actually behind the scenes as well. So we're approaching 40% female staff, and that is at senior levels as well. So that's not just entry level. And then I think that the other thing that we're really proud of is the coverage that we're putting on air. And there've been a number of transformational moments, haven't there? The 2012 Olympics, and I can't believe it. I'm in the building where we were actually producing those games. It's amazing. I'm trying to work out where the McDonald's is, because we lived on it for 3 weeks. I think it was just over there. Anyway, it's gone now. But so it's sort of goosebumps time, really being here, because 2012 was truly transformational, I think, for women's sport. It had a credibility. I mean, women won so many medals. It was amazing. But I actually think people will look back on last year as well. If anybody in this room had said what would be, well, it was until the rugby got to the final and just pipped the semi-final in the women's, that the most watched TV programme of the year would be women's football, I just think people wouldn't have believed it. And that is across entertainment, drama, everything. Really, really amazing to see how audiences embraced that event. And I really believe that the myth that people aren't interested in women's sport was well and truly busted. And so, yeah, it was great. And I know that we're going to run the little film, the Change the Game film, because we were so proud of that campaign. And it was one of the first times that the BBC was really determined to do a perception-changing campaign, not just appointment of view trails. It really actually wanted to be quite challenging in what it said. So I would just say to you all, there's such a long way to go, but just hearing the room, the ambition in the room. I mean, I came to one of these 5 years ago, and then we were just in a tiny little room somewhere in the centre of London, and there were, maybe 6 or 7, maybe 10 people, whatever. Anyway, to see this grow and to see how many people are here, and just to think of, I truly believe the exciting futures that you will have in this great industry. Yeah, I mean, I would just say lots to do, but much to celebrate as well. Yeah. Okay, thank you. It's brilliant, thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
There we go. Okay, thank you.